as a person that immigrated to the United States, I was always told about the promise of this country. And when you hear about the history and you take that into context, there are some very important things to point out, because the idea of America is a beautiful thing. For everyone to be able to come here and to have been treated equally, that was the premise, wasn't it? A person coming from Japan, coming from Ireland, coming from Ghana, coming from any stretch of the world. But the problem is that when people got here, they set foot on land that was stolen from indigenous people. And they built an infrastructure with slave labor that they have never truly accounted for, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I bring up these historical facts, I don't bring them up to sow hatred into the hearts of people, but to sow education into their minds.
That's right.
When I learned the history of World War II, it was never to prepare me for another war with Germany. It was to prepare me to never see another Holocaust happen again. And that's what we don't want anymore. We do not want any more cultural genocide. I tell the young people that they're not afraid of our knives. They're not afraid of our guns. They're not afraid of our gangs. They are terrified of our people having knowledge of self and knowing who we are and where we come from. That's why they try to ban our books and try to ban our history. When people talk about the laws that are on the books, well, let's examine the laws that are on the books. The Johnston-Reed Act that demanded that we only wanted people in America of a Nordic background. That means the whitest of the white people, because at that time, they still weren't accepting of Eastern European people. There was a high rate of anti-Semitism in the United States at that time. They didn't want Southern Europeans, which they didn't see as equal to everyone else, so they created this idea of the melting pot. The melting pot was never supposed to include indigenous and African people, though, so that's what the problem was that was left out. And when people tell us, why haven't you pulled yourselves up by your bootstraps, the difference is that when some immigrants came to this country, they not only applied for citizenship, but they also applied for whiteness, and that's a very important thing to point out. But because without that status, in the 1900s, you couldn't own property, you couldn't get loans from the bank, you couldn't join the police force, you couldn't join the fire department.
That's right.
You were locked out essentially of everything. You couldn't join unions, which was the backbone of the labor movement. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying right now to you is that if we examine the history, if we go back even farther and say, yes, during the Great Depression, you decided to deport people of this country who were citizens of America but just had a Mexican background, and now you act as if we're showing up for no reason. No, we're coming back because you kicked us out for no reason. I want to also say that just as how it's possible to have issues with the domestic and foreign policy of Israel without being anti-Semitic, it's also possible to have issues with the position that we are against and yet still not be a racist. The problem is that when those people champion racists, they put their own points at a disadvantage. They show the face of how they truly are. Our people, our indigenous people, we are the survivors of a genocide. We are the survivors of an apocalypse. So when people talk to me about the New World Order, I laugh because I say we saw that 500 years ago when our God, our culture, and our land were taken from us, when our relationship with our women was destroyed, when our relationship with the family was destroyed. So it's never going to be one thing that we use to overcome it. It's going to have to be many things that we use, and we come together as a people. And when we acknowledge that we are one human race, ladies and gentlemen, one human race, and an injustice to one of us is an injustice to all. I don't respect people that say that's the way it's always been. It's always been like that. I respect people that say, hey, those may not be my people per se, even though we're all human beings. They might not have my God, they might not have my skin color or my hair, but what's happening to them is wrong, and I won't allow that to happen. Right. That's what it means to have heart, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it means to be part of this movement. I love all of you, and even though we do want to see the sheriff out of here, we don't want some paper champion standing in his place. We want the position that he's in demolished as well. We don't want the figurehead gone. We want the racist infrastructure tore down, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Salud.